Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you're stopping in for the first time, my name is Melissa Reed and I am a mixed media artist from Pennsylvania. And today we're going to be doing some gel prints because I am kind of out of my favorite kinds of collage papers. So I did a quick sweep of my house looking for specific shapes and sizes of things that I typically am drawn to for my collage work. And today we're going to just print some of them and see how they turn out. Some of them I've done before and I know they will work well, and some of them it's gonna be a test, so we're gonna check it all out. First though, I do need to address something that happened in my comment section a few days ago. One of the commenters was very disrespectful and rude to one of my viewers, and I'm gonna just tell you right now, that's not gonna fly here. That person was removed, and to the person who took the brunt of that, I do apologize because that is unacceptable. It goes against YouTube standards, it goes against my own personal standards, and just being a basic, decent human being. I mean, a little bit of kindness goes a long way, and I can tell from my metrics that the vast majority of people here are adults. And even if you are watching and you're not an adult and you're going to jump into the comment section, you need to conduct yourself as such. And if you are, you need to conduct yourself as such. So that's the last I'm going to say about that. But basically, I've got a one-strike policy with that, and there's just no reason for it. So anyway, let's get on to some gel printing. Okay, so if you saw my video short this Tuesday, this is kind of just a recap of that. In fact, this first part is exactly what I showed on there. And for those of you who didn't see it, I decided I wanted to print some citrus. So I got an orange and I dried off the surface of the fruit as much as possible because I wanted the paint to stick and not be repelled by the water. So I rolled out a little bit of black paint just on a piece of paper on the side there with my brayer, and I rolled the paint directly onto the surface of the fruit and stamped it down. Once it dried, I took some neon pink and neon yellow and mixed them right on the plate. And what that does, while it gives me a nice bright orange color, you can still see some remnants of the yellow and the pink there on the front of the print, which you'll see when I pull it here in a moment. And I like that because it just gave it a little bit of additional interest. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that up and show you, and it just gives a fun little orange themed print. And what am I going to use that for? I have no idea yet, but it'll come in handy at some point, and it's always interesting even to me to see what I come up with to use these for. So in this one, I just went ahead and stamped some more of the oranges down. And once I let them dry, I'm using some of the Matte Gel Medium to pick the image up. And I'm using just regular tissue paper here. That's what I'm going to be using on all of these pieces today. I'm going to be using the Mars Black Liquitex paint there that you see lying there, and also my Matte Gel Medium to pick up all of these prints. And what I like about using the tissue and the Matte Gel Medium is that I've just got a nice clean print of the citrus there with absolutely no background color, so I can apply that to anything I want. And there's another picture that I did off camera. So here I'm just using these little round stickers that I found at Dollar Tree. I was looking for like little sale stickers, but I found these instead, and they're going to work out just fine. So I put as many of them as I wanted to on the plate. And I'm going to go ahead and just take my brayer and smooth them all down to make sure that they're stuck really well. Once they're all down, I'm going to spread some of that Mars Black paint right on the top there and get it brayered over the surface. And then I'm going to see if I can lift a couple of prints from just this one inking. So I've never used the stickers before. I don't know how long they're going to last, but you'll see with me here, they don't last very long. I think I ended up getting 3 pulls before they started coming up. But this one is just a very nice clean print where the negative space printed. And I'm going to go in again, and again the negative space printed, but since there wasn't a lot of ink left, it just gave a very light ghost print. And I'm going to show you all of these at the end, because I think by my 4th one in, I realized that I hadn't actually shown you any of the prints that I was pulling. So I just put a little bit more ink on there to try to get another print off, and I think it's this very next one that you'll see here where the stickers start pulling off onto the tissue paper. I'm just using that pickup sheet to grab a little bit of that extra paint there, and you can see where those stickers started pulling up. And I didn't have any issue getting them off of the tissue paper, but I did realize that that was going to be the last pull I got, and I went ahead and removed them from the plate. And I was able to go ahead and pick up what was left down there, which was kind of what I was hoping to get from the beginning, which is just that very subtle outline of those circles with very little paint on there. That's going to look really good over top of some other color or some other type of collage paper whenever I decide what I'm going to do with all of these in a future project. So this one I'm pulling up in real time here so you can actually see what it looks like as I'm taking it off the plate, and I'm really happy with these results. Circles, if you have watched any of my videos, you know that I have this thing with circles and squares. I know it's weird, they're just basic shapes, but something draws me to them just like something draws me to line work, and these are things that you will see as recurring themes in my work over and over again. So I had the sheet that the stickers were on left, and I thought there's no way I'm not going to print that because there's a whole entire sheet there just ready to go. So I'm just spraying out a little bit more of the Mars Black paint over top of that negative of the stickers there. And I didn't really bother cleaning off that extra paint because I can just tear that part off if I decide I don't want to use it, or maybe I'll decide that I do. But that gave me the nice dark circle pattern too. And I'm going in there just with a little bit of black paint right on top of that, and I'm going to see what result I get from picking that up. And I'm just using that same sheet of paper because there was a good bit of space left on there, and you know, why waste more paper when I can just use the one sheet? So I got 2 pulls out of that before that sticker sheet just gave up and came off with the tissue paper. But I have this at 3 times speed on here, but in real time I was doing this much more carefully because I didn't want to tear the tissue, because this is just regular old tissue paper, not the wet strength. I like to use that because A, it is inexpensive, and B, it is accessible. So if you are careful with it, you can use it just the same. So now I'm just going to go ahead and lift up with some of the Matte Gel Medium the outline of the circle shape from the sticker page that is still on my plate there, and that's going to give me another option to use when I decide what I'm going to do with all of these. Okay, for this one I have had this fruit net hanging out for a while and didn't really know what I wanted to do with it, but I thought we've got the black ink out, and I'm going to see what I can make happen. I've seen other artists use it to mimic like fish scales or mermaid scales, and that's always interesting, but I just really like the shapes that it makes, and I'm going to get an interesting shape there on the pickup sheet. Now I just used copy paper for that, and I don't use a lot of that in my collage, but I'm going to hang on to this because I can definitely see where it might have a purpose. But I just did on the top what I did on the bottom there, and I'm removing some more of that paint. And when I go ahead and lift this up, I'm going to get this interesting net shape, which is what I used. So, and it kind of looked like a set of lungs to me. I don't know, just the way I had the net laid out there. Not that that's apropos of anything or not, but I don't know, I kind of thought it was interesting. Again, don't know what I'm going to use any of these for, but it sure will be fun to play around with them and have the options ready. I like to do this every once in a while, just do large batches of collage paper so that when I am ready to start a piece, I can just choose from what I have, and I don't always have to stop in the middle of it to make something custom. Now, sometimes I want to do that, but not always, so it's good to have these on hand. So I did a few more pulls with the fruit net there, and I'm just picking up that again with the Matte Gel Medium, and I'm going to pull that up with another sheet of tissue there. And it gives me a lot of different options with that same piece that I chose to print with. It's fun looking around the house and just looking for different textures and different patterns and trying to figure out a way to get those onto the board. And I'm going to show you a couple of other ideas that I have here. One I've not used before, but I'd been wanting to try, and it worked beautifully. That's coming up here in just a few minutes. But first I'm going to do a print of a doily that I believe I got at Dollar Tree. I don't necessarily love the way this one turned out. I'm sure it's going to serve some purpose. I didn't get a very clean print, but again, that's not a big deal because I'm not looking for a specific shape. I'm like a specific item, I guess I should say, a recognizable item. I don't need to look at this print and know that it's a print of a doily. What I'm looking for is the visual texture. I'm looking for the negative space, the positive space, and what that brings. So you can see there, I definitely have a variety of the space there, the negative and positive space, and the shapes within. Can I really tell that it's a doily? No, but again, I don't need to. So once I get that transferred over with my matte gel medium, you can see that it pulled up a pretty decent print that has a lot of visual interest, and I will definitely be able to use that in some sort of piece in the future. It has like the little circles in it, which I love, and the smaller areas look almost like a lizard skin or something. So here's a picture of my register vent, and I had this idea to do a wax rubbing, and I was going to use a crayon, but I happened to sit down right next to an old stump of a candle, so I grabbed that instead, and I'm just putting a piece of copy paper on top of there and taking a wax rubbing of that pattern. And what that's going to do, the wax is going to repel the ink so that when I pull it up, you're going to get an actual print of the register. So I'm just inking up my plate there with some more of the Mars Black, and I'm going to get that sheet of copy paper that I used to do the rubbing on, and when I lay that down there and I smooth it out, and I'm going to simultaneously use it as a pickup sheet and a lay down sheet, you can see the impression that I got on there. Now that's something you're only going to be able to use one time, but it took me seconds to make it, so if you wanted to do several of these, you could just do several of the rubbings, and it's not like it would really take up that much of your time, and you could do that on any kind of scrap paper you have lying around. This one I picked up with the matte gel medium on one of my book pages there, just because I thought it might be interesting to have that variety available. I do like to do prints directly onto books and music sheets sometimes. I use a lot of those in my work. If you've seen any of my other mixed media work, you'll see that. It just adds another layer, and I'm all about layers in my work. Okay, this next one turned out so cool. In fact, I think it was my favorite, and it was the absolute easiest one to do. Anybody could do it. You really don't even need any special tools. I'm using my 2-inch color shaper there, but you could use like a piece of cardboard, anything stiff that's going to move the paint around. All I'm doing is going in there and removing rectangles of paint, and they are not even, and it's kind of skipping across the surface, and I love that little extra bit of texture that it's leaving there. And like I said, squares and circles are kind of my thing right now, and so I'm just going in and making all of these rectangles, and I'm going in. As the paint starts to dry, it becomes a little more difficult to remove, but that's no big deal. It just adds to the irregularity of it, which is a quality that I love. And while that's still wet, I'm going in with my tissue paper and picking up a really cool print that I absolutely love. And there's a nice ghost print left there on the plate too. So I'm just going in with a little bit of my gel medium, and I'm just going to pull that up real quick. So I'm basically getting 2 prints for the price of one, and this was so fast and so easy, and I love the quality of it. It's just that like grungy, old, imperfect look that I absolutely love to use in my pieces. So there's both of those. This is the last one that I did today, and my idea was just to get a linear texture using a plastic fork. Now you'll notice the way that I'm holding the fork, I'm not holding it like I'm stabbing into the plate because that could damage it. I'm laying it with the tines kind of curving up a little bit and just dragging the curved part of the fork towards me just to create these linear marks on the page. And I'm just going to go ahead and lift that print while it's still wet. It gives me a nice dark print, and then there's going to be a much lighter one left there on the plate, and I'm going to pull that as the ghost print. I'm going to lay out all these finished prints here at the end for you to take a look at, because I know we did go through some of them kind of quickly. And if anyone has any questions on any of this, I mean, it was all pretty straightforward. This really wasn't so much about demonstrating a bunch of new techniques or anything. This was really just a gel printing session that I thought you guys might like to enjoy coming along with me, just to see what I do when I'm not actively creating an art piece. So I'm just going to go ahead and lay all of these out for you to kind of take a look at as I finish up here. So I do want to talk about next week's video. I'm going to do something entirely different. I've been wanting to try for a really long time to make a homemade gel plate. So I'm sure some of you have tried to do that out there. I know there are tons of recipes online. I've been looking at them and they're all basically the same, so I'm going to just pick one and I'm going to give it a go on camera for you all next week. So I have no idea what's going to happen, if it's going to work. Most of the results seem to be pretty good. I think I'm going to try to make a round one if I can find some sort of a round vessel that I want to use. Maybe a pie plate, I'm not sure. I'm going to rummage around and see what I can find, or maybe hit up Dollar Tree and see if they have something really cheap there that I would like to use. So come by next week and we can see together how that works out, and you can let me know if you had any luck or if you've tried that, and if you've got any tips, any of that, please feel free to drop that in the comment section. But that's going to be next week's video. I'm going to try to make one of those and then try to do some prints on it and compare it to my Jelly Arts plate and just see what happens. But that's my video for today. Thank you all for stopping by. As always, thank you so much to everybody who subscribed. This week was a huge week for subscribers, and I appreciate each and every one of you so much. You have no idea how much it helps my channel. YouTube is not always great about pushing videos out. I hear that from lots of other content creators. So every time you interact with one of my videos with a thumbs up or a subscribe, it helps me hugely. So I appreciate that, and if you haven't yet and you want to, you would be awesome. So I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you again for stopping in, and I will talk to you next week when we try some homemade jelly plates. Have a great week.